So you are a painter and your subject is robots, correct?
Yeah, I love robots. Everything about robots. And I've always loved robots. I mean, who doesn't like robots? I mean, they're just cool, right? Robots. They're awesome.
What is your medium?
My medium primarily is acrylics, although I have dabbled in oil. I do like oil, but I have breathing problems, which, terps is not good for. And I've had bad experiences with terps and thinner, and so, yeah, primarily it's acrylics. And I like the expediency of acrylics, because oil, you'd have to wait for the oil to dry, and acrylics, the type of painting that I do, I throw a lot of layers on top of each other, and they're generally like to make the colors more rich. And to do that with oils, it take months for what takes me like a month or weeks. So yeah, I definitely like acrylics, and they've gotten a lot better. They have gotten so much better. A company called Golden, Liquitex is doing some great stuff. There's Utrecht, which is I think Dick Blick's primary go-to, or their company that makes their stuff. They all make mediums and gels that can kind of coax the same feeling from acrylics that you get from oil. Obviously, it's not going to be oil, but you can kind of emulate the same things if you apply it in a certain manner. And that's kind of what I like about it, the expediency of it. And it kind of relates into the themes that I'm working on, which is, contemporary art, pop art, what have you. The fact that it's fast, and I paint fast, so I don't like sitting around waiting for a lacquer to dry, or waiting for that particular oil to set. Like, I just like to wait, go back, chill out for a bit, 20 minutes, come back and attack it again. And that's what I love about acrylics. So acrylics is my medium.
How do you come up with your themes?
My themes, my themes are like everything that I love. Like, for me, the whole aspect of painting has to do with joy and fun. And anything that I find joyful or fun in my life, like movies, video games, comic books especially, that's fun for me. So, like, I put that into my work. And I use robots, I guess, as a vehicle. Yeah, like George O'Keeffe used flowers and Pollock used painty drips. But I use robots because I love robots. And they inhabit a world that goes constantly on in my head, and they are my primary vehicle of interpretation on what I see, like, that I enjoy. So entertainment, pop culture, things that I like to see, things that I like to do, cosplay. I have a series of LARPing robots, but yeah, so that's primarily a theme, like the things that I like. So if there's something that I like, I mean, right now it's movies, video games, and comic books. But something else might pop into it, and I'll put robots in there.
Are they just movies you like?
No, they're movies I love. They're movies. I'm not gonna spend a month on a painting for movies that I kind of like, and I've been asked to do, like, oh, why don't you do Pretty Woman, or there's this great scene in Dirty Dancing that I'd love to see. No, because I'm gonna spend a month on it. I'm not gonna spend a month on something that I was like, oh, I'm spending a month on it, and that goes into like commissioned paintings, which I can talk about later.
What is the significance of these particular movie scenes?
Well, like I said, they're movies that I absolutely love. Movies that are deeply impactful for me. Like, movies that not just tug at my heartstrings, but like when you talk about a movie and you're talking to a friend about a movie, and you're like, remember that scene? Like, that's that whole little microcosm of when you're talking to your friend, you're like, remember that scene? There's a connection there. This very much like if you were, in the 1800s and you were talking about a poet, or if you're talking about a passage in a novel that you've read. It's the same thing. It instills the same kind of feeling. Like, there is this emotional connection that you have, and that's what I paint. Like, I paint those pivotal scenes, and to me, those scenes mean a lot. Like, they encapsulate either the whole movie or my whole feeling about the movie. So That's why I paint those particular scenes. And they're usually not the same scenes that you see in a movie poster or whatever. I go out of my way not to paint those. Like, if you see, like, I've done a Scarface series, I didn't do the same silhouetted Scarface poster thing. I did something that, to me, represented Scarface. And when I saw those scenes in a movie, they click in the back of my head, like, wow, that's such a great scene. And when I see it again, it means so much to me. So that's my theme, I guess you would say. Like, what they mean to me.
Why robots?
Why robots? Well, I mean, I've kind of illustrated this on several fronts in my blog, on the Kickstarter page that I've done. But why robots is because robots are awesome. There's nothing more I can say about how awesome robots are. They are, in my opinion, our next evolutionary step. And that might seem a little weird, you know, that might be like, you know, what are you talking about? But to me, it's like they encompass everything that is humanity, but not. It's the next step. And yeah, there's a part that, like, we lose. And if you watch Westworld, or if you watch any sci-fi stuff that talks about, like, how we lose our humanity through robots, it's not about that. It's about, to me, what they represent is optimism and hope. And that's why when I paint robots, again, it's about joy, it's about fun, it's all hope and optimism for me in robots. I don't see Terminator, I don't see, you know, like the rise of the machines, I don't see anything negative about it. I see there's a positive connotation to it. And that draws me so much to the idea of robots.
On your Instagram post, you tag yourself as fine art, contemporary art, and pop art. You are aware that these are distinct areas. Why do you consider yourself all three?
Yes, they are different areas, and yes, I consider myself all three because in the end, I think that what we've lost through the commercialization of art and what's happening to art is that art has become this high-blown kind of, you have to be educated to understand it, and I'm an artist. I paint robots, and if you see what I paint and you look at it, that's art. You know, that is completely art. I mean, that might be egotistical, I guess, but it is the same thing because I believe inherently all of us are artists, right, and have the capacity to be artists. And there's no reason that I need to differentiate myself between contemporary fine art, classical art, or even illustration. I mean, I consider Michelangelo an illustrator, and I can go on long enough about that, but the whole point is that, yes, it all falls under the umbrella of art, because that's how we communicate. Some of us communicate through words, through music, and I communicate through blobs of acrylic paint on a canvas. That's my medium, and I love it. And I think that every human being has the potential to be an artist, and there's no fragmentation of that at all. It all falls under the same umbrella, and it makes no sense to stop that. One second. All right.
What are you trying to say through your work?
What am I trying to say through my work? Well, I don't propose to have any specific political or intellectual agenda behind it, although I do try to incorporate my absolute feelings towards it into the painting itself, but there is no, like, I'm trying to make a statement about some such or the other. This is the culture that I grew up with, the American culture that I love, that I'm part of, represented through my eyes in how I see it. So I put robots into something that I love, and that's what I'm trying to say is, like, just come with me on this journey. And part of that happens to be, like, why I even started this, and it's more like I started this because I wanted everybody to experience what I'm going through, which I don't know if that seems like, it sounds weird, but I want them to experience what I'm going through in the sense of, like, I'm going through this journey and I want you to come with me. And that's why I put the paintings that I'm working on Instagram. That's why they're not, their steps in progress or their ideas and their notions, very much like the writing on my blog, they're not complete. They're not completed yet. You get to watch the transformation, and that's the part that I like. I mean, I'm so excited about it that I just want to show you my thought process behind all of it. So that's what I'm going for with those.
You mentioned earlier that you don't do or participate in gallery shows even though you've been approached by galleries.
Yeah,
Why?
galleries. Okay, so I have been approached by galleries, and they have said, like, listen, we love your robots, we love the long hair, motorcycle riding, you know, crazy man that you are, and we want to participate in that in the sense of, like, you know, we want to expose you to our audience, but I don't like your audience. I never did. And I'm sorry, I never will. It's like, you know, I never went to gallery shows. I'm not a wine and cheeser kind of person. And for me to, like, put myself into that audience, it doesn't click for me. It doesn't ring true. Like, that's why I did Comic-Con, because those were my people. My people are not wine and cheese types that go to gallery shows. And part of that has to do with the fact that gallery shows and gallery people, like, it is, like, such an antiquated system. It is such a busted system. Like, it's all about the business, and that's why you see, like, abstract art that nobody can comprehend, like, that, you know, commands significant amounts of money. And I never grew up like that. I grew up from a blue-collar, like, working-class environment, and every time I saw that, it was always like, how is that, you know, worth $2.3 million? Like, you know, I don't understand the execution. And it usually has to do with the fact that, you know, it's so insulated that you have to, like, have an, you know, MFA in fine arts or something like that to be able to understand it. Why would I have to do that? Because to me, art comes from, like, art is part of all of us. We all are able to make art. So the idea that you're kind of walling that off, and yeah, that's naive, and I understand that there's going to be people that say, oh, okay, well, you're coming from a naive standpoint. And yeah, it is naive, but there's a truth to that naivete, right? The truth is that, like, if you don't capture the hearts, minds, or imaginations of the people that are looking at your artwork, and you have to explain it, or you have to shut them out and say, like, listen, you don't understand it because you don't have a background in fine arts, then you've completely missed the point. Like, when I did Comic-Con, the biggest people that meant anything to me were the little kids, like, you know, between 5 and 10, that were just somehow drawn to my work and would come up to my work and, like, you know, engage me with it. Like, I can't imagine, like, a 5 or 10-year-old going to the MoMA or something like that and seeing something that's so abstract that requires so much background thought that, you know, they need to be explained, okay, this is why this is art. No, it shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that, because that's how we communicate as human beings. Like, that's innate in us. So for you to do that is for you to, like, wall off and distance a whole section of the population. And why? There's absolutely no reason for that. All right, so I don't know if I went off topic on that one, but that's exactly what I mean.
You know, there have been many other artists that eschew gallery shows. How are you different?
I don't think I'm different than any artists that have eschewed gallery shows, but and I'm sure there are tons of artists that won't do gallery shows, and I've been told that I'm not going to the right gallery people, and there are people that are specifically geared towards, you know, representing artists, but it's still a gallery show. It's still, you know, it's still going into it with the idea and the backing of, like, you know, an investment. This is an investment that you're going through. I'm giving it a shot, or I'm doing whatever. I appreciate those shows. I totally do. Like, I have no problems going to a gallery show that is run by complete artists and done for artists, and like, that is separate from what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, you know, gallery shows that command, like, very high prices for their artwork, which for the most part, they abuse the artists that they're getting the artwork from, and they don't see those kind of prices, which to me makes no sense whatsoever, because without them, you would have no gallery. So, to your point about, like, you know, artists for artists and doing art shows, yeah, I've done that, and I have no problem doing that, but I'd rather do that for charity than to try and put myself together in a gallery show because I don't necessarily want, that kind of demographic that would go to those gallery shows looking for that new artist or looking for that great investment that is springing up from, wherever. I just do not like that whole idea of that, and the concept of it makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
How do you sell your work then? Do you take commissions?
I do take commissions. I'm obviously I'm not in this business to do it for free, but I do like what I'm doing. However, I have the luxury, because I'm also a digital asset manager. Don't ask, you can look that up. I have the luxury to be able to pick and choose. Now, that puts me in a unique spot. And the unique spot that that puts me in is the commission work is done in this process. If you're looking for a movie scene, then you and I have to sit down together and watch that movie. And you have to tell me the movie scene that you like. That way I can get a good concept of the person you are and the kind of color palette that I'd want to represent in that. I mean, mostly I use bright colors, but through that experience of me and you watching a movie, it's like when you and your friend watches a movie, right? So there's an excitement that happens when certain scenes come up that you're obviously going to impart on your friend, and your friend's going to pick up on that. I pick up on that because I love movies. So if you're sitting next to me and we're watching a movie, then I'm going to pick up on that. And when I pick up on that, that greatly influences how I paint, because I'll put that in my head. And also, like what I said about your personality and the color palette that I'm going to be using. So it's, you commission me for work, you tell me the movie, like The Big Lebowski here that I'm working on, and we sit together and we watch it, and you tell me the scene that you like, right? And then from that, I get a good idea of your color palette. I get a good idea of why you want to use that specific movie scene. So once that happens, then we sit down, we talk about it, we make sure that that's the movie scene you want, and then from there on, you get your painting. But we have to watch the movie together. I will not take a commission for a movie that I don't like. Like I said, I've been offered Pretty in Pink, Narnia, like some other nonsense that I won't do. I have to like the movie as well. And actually, there's always been a bonus discount if you sit me down to a movie like Black Rainbow or something that I've never seen before, and I absolutely fall in love with. There's always a significant discount on that one.
So, final question. Why the fake interview?